At the time, I was a very simple person. Being praised makes me happy. When I do well on tests, mom and dad are really nice. And the food at dinner gets better too. In that case, I'm going to get good scores every time. Having reached that conclusion, I shifted my efforts to my studies. I always listened carefully in school, and at home I'd voluntarily head off to my desk and pore over my books.
今度は社会科のテストで100点か。
Okay, that's impressive.
クラスで100点を取れたのは私だけだって先生も褒めてくれたよ。
最近はうちでも勉強を頑張っているみたいだし、学期末にもらえる通知表が楽しみね。
The harder I tried, the more my parents complimented me. The more effort I put in, the wider their smiles on their faces. And that was all there was to it, but simple as I was, that was more than enough to motivate me. As I focused on that clear objective, my grades soared with astonishing swiftness. Alright, well this is another day. Yeah, this is year 2000 something.
はい。今日はサチが全部4以上の通知表をもらってきたお祝いよ。
All B's? What?
手巻き寿司だ。
サチは最近頑張ってくれているから、その分私たちもお返ししなくちゃね。
お返し？
そうだぞ。何かのために努力するってことは口で言うほど簡単じゃない。だからそれができたサチのことを褒めるのは当然のことなんだ。
Thanks, Dad.
そっか。
Dude, Dad's the best.
あ、今回はサチが頑張ったご褒美にお父さんが何でも買ってあげるぞ。
何でもなんて言ってしまっていいんですか？
たまにはいいさ。ほら、何でもいいから言ってごらん、サチ。
Huh. Be careful, Dad. I may be 5, but I got that dirty mind.
欲しいものはあんまりないかも。
え？
お父さんとお母さんに褒めてもらえてお寿司が食べられるならもう何もいらないよ。
Man, Sachi's not spoiled at all.
サチ。
Those are my true feelings. Of course, sometimes I did look at the pretty new clothes of my friends wore and feel a little envious. And I sort of wanted to visit those fancy amusement parks they talked about on TV too. But when I went home after school, Mom and Dad were always waiting. The music box played its beautiful song in the background, and the people I loved had smiles on their faces. That was more than enough for me. But those tranquil days didn't last forever. Aw, man, I knew it was gonna get to the bad shit. Something bad's gonna happen to our parents. They're gonna both die or something like that. To be honest, I'm trying to think about it, but I don't really remember what Sachi's past was in the anime, so I'm pretty sure it'll click once we get to the end of, or near the end of the flashback here, but I'm a little scared, not gonna lie. One day, word got out that Dad's family had received a contract for grinding lenses that would be used on a space shuttle, leading to media interest and a TV interview. We'd contribute intricate metal molds that were now valuable manufacturing assets. With the sudden burst of publicity, a few major orders started trickling down to our workshop as well. Dad had always been skilled, and now he had the chance to prove it. In the blink of an eye, rumors were spreading about the high-quality precision dyes our workshop produced. Before we knew it, our little branch of the business was flooded with more orders than even his parents' workshop. A year or so after these events, my life had changed dramatically. Oh man, I'm getting scared here. Wait, what? Back from school, I yelled out a greeting to the workshop from force of habit, but there was no answer from Mom and Dad. Instead, I was welcomed home by the drone of industrial machines, a constant companion from morning through night. On the dining table, a gorgeous meal was waiting for me, but the clouds of steam that proved the food was freshly made were missing. The pencils I used to wear down to the nub had always been replaced with nice new pens, but I no longer heard Dad's encouraging voice at my side as I studied. I could wear all sorts of brand new clothes, but mom didn't sew I don't know what the fuck that is, onto my dresses anymore. Among all these, what hurt most was the simplest change of all. I no longer spent much time with my parents. Producing metal dies and precision manufacturing, requiring both high technical knowledge and natural skill, it was extremely difficult to find qualified new employees for such a small business. Dealing with a workload that had suddenly doubled with the same number of people as before, there was no choice but to increase working hours proportionally. The amount of time mom and dad spent in the house became extremely limited, and the amount of time I spent alone grew dramatically. Even so, I wanted their attention just as badly as before. Sometimes I would sit up waiting, rubbing my drowsy eyes until the machines finally fell quiet.
お疲れ様、お父さん、お母さん。
ああ、幸か。
Dad, you don't look happy anymore, and that's scaring me.
こんな時間まで起きていたの？
どうしてもお父さんとお母さんに見てもらいたいものがあったの。
見てもらいたいもの？
ほら見て、今日は初めて理科のテストで100点を取ったんだよ。
おお、そうか。偉いな、幸は。
Thanks, Dad, but you don't look happy.
おめでとう、サチ。
Mom, you don't look happy either, and it doesn't make these words sound good at all. And when I did, my parents would still listen to what I had to say. But even then, they didn't smile like before. Their faces were always lined with exhaustion, their eyes dull. I knew they were busy because Dad's family had been on TV. I just had to tough it out a little longer and things would be back to normal. I did my best to believe that. I waited as patiently as I could for my parents to get less busy. But rather than diminishing, the work kept pouring steadily in. Even after 3 months, then half a year, the situation didn't improve in the slightest. In fact, things eventually got so frantic that my parents hired a housekeeper to look after things. She cooked and took care of the laundry in Mom's place. She accepted the handouts I brought home. When there was a parents' night at school, she was the one who showed up. Damn! The housekeeper was a diligent person who took her job seriously, and she was always nice to me. But that wasn't enough. For some reason, I never felt particularly happy when the housekeeper patted my head gently and praised my achievements. So one day, taking advantage of a brief pause in the feverish activity in my parents' workshop, I rushed up to Mom and tried to show off my latest test.
ごめんね、サチ。お母さん、これから取引先の会社さんに行かないといけないの。
何時になったら帰ってくるの？
多分とても遅くなるから、また今度ね。
Damn, Mom. Don't do this to me, Mom.
苦手だった国語のテストで100点を取ったのに。
Wait, how is Japanese her worst subject? That's what she's speaking. Well, then again, I get pretty bad grades on my English shit, so I shouldn't speak. Alright, so for the first time, I couldn't get her to even glance at the paper. I still remember the shock and anger I felt. Crumpling the test into a ball, I threw it into a trash can. Damn, things are getting worse. And on the night I turned 9 years old, neither Mom nor Dad were waiting for me. Instead, I was greeted by a feast our housekeeper had prepared, and a pile of presents stacked up on the table. But I didn't have the slightest interest in the food in front of me, much less the colorfully wrapped boxes. This stuff isn't what I wanted. The only thing on my mind was conveying that simple truth to my parents, and so I sat and I waited, even when the clock ticked past 9 and our housekeeper headed home, even when unfamiliar shows started to appear on the television, which I'd left on so I could hear the sound of human voices. I didn't budge. And a little after the hour hand on the clock crept past 11, the clamor of the machines finally came to a stop.
これで明日までには納品できるだろう。
でも、すぐに次の仕事にかからないと。
そうだな。って、サチ。
もしかして 私たちの仕事が終わるのを待っていてくれたの？
That moment when your kid actually cares more than the parents?
そうか、それは悪いことをしたな。おお、そうだ。遅くなってしまったけど、9歳の誕生日おめでと
Shut the fuck up, Dad. You're not cool anymore.
おめでとう、サチ。
No, Mom, no. No, it's 11 p.m. and now you tell me happy birthday? Jesus Christ. I told happy birthday to my friend Colton, which is literally today, the day I'm recording this, at 12:03 a.m. That's how much I care about Colton right there. Well, actually, I really don't care about him that much, but, I mean, we were talking already, so, I mean, I just told him happy birthday. But, I mean, come on. Sachi's own parents can't even say happy birthday, like, at 6 or 9 a.m. or whatever. They have to say it at 11 p.m. when the day's almost over? Come on, dude.
最近サチには寂しい思いをさせてしまったから、プレゼントも大奮発したのよ。どうしたの？サチ、お腹でも痛くなった？
う。よく見たら、ご飯も全然食べていないじゃないか。
いらない。プレゼントもごちそうもいらない。だから一人でステーキを食べるより、機械の音が聞こえないお家でみんな一緒にカレーが食べたい。
Before I knew it, the words had slipped out of my mouth, and tears were running down my cheeks. Those were the words I kept shut away tightly inside ever since the workshop got busy. My honest, selfish feelings. For the first time in a while, I was the spoiled little girl again. As soon as the words left my mouth, my parents' eyes opened wide with surprise. When that shock gave way to awkward, troubled expressions, I realized the mistake I just made. I just said something really mean to Mom and Dad. The instant I understood how selfish my words had been, my heart started to throb painfully in my chest. I stood up from the table and ran from the room, trying to escape the sudden wave of guilt. Damn, dude. Dashing into my room, I burrowed down into the Sachi, please shut up! Into the futon and cried my eyes out. I was angry at my parents, who couldn't spare a single night for me even on my birthday. And I was angry at myself for being cruel to my exhausted parents, who had been forced to work by circumstances beyond their control. Tormented by this jumbled mixture of intense emotions, I cried into my pillow until morning came. That was my 9th birthday. What a shitty birthday, man. After that miserable day, I decided to change my way of thinking and start fresh. Maybe finally saying what I kept locked inside helped. Maybe all the crying got all the poison out of my system. Either way, I found a new conviction to cling to. If what I've been doing isn't enough, I'll just have to try even harder. Not merely devoting myself to my studies, I began to actively volunteer for class representative and other student government duties. I threw myself into anything that seemed like it might put smiles on my parents' faces, even learning to play the music box song they loved so much. Probably because that broad, spirited effort, my results at school rose so high that I broke the top 10 list for our year. Grades other than A disappeared from my report card entirely, and the comments were increasingly filled with effusive praise about how I'd become an example for the other students. But even then...
お父さん、今日は終業式だったから通知表もらってきたよ。
We done with elementary school?
おお、もうそんな季節か。
それでね、今回は私、評価の数字が全部5だったの。
じゃあ、この仕事が終わったらじっくり見せてもらうから、もう少しだけ待っててくれるか？
No, Dad, I don't want you to look at it anymore.
もういい。